The vegan keto diet. That is what I have been doing for the past 47 days. So first of all, what is a vegan keto diet? Okay, so keto diets are kind of the new rage the past few years, and there's tons of people doing it, and it's marketed as this like quick and efficient way to lose weight, and it's great because your body's going to run on ketones, and all of those effects are true. And I've done keto diets before, and in fact, back in May, I did a vegan keto diet for a few weeks, and it was really successful. I actually was trying to get a little of weight that I had gained off for the summer. But this time, when I did the vegan keto diet, it was for a totally different reason. So I started the vegan keto diet the day that I found out that my tumor had metastasized in my neck. And so the reason I did it was not because I needed to lose weight or anything like that. It was because out of all the research that I've done, I've discovered that tumors feed and fuel off of sugar, glucose. And of course, we all know that sugar is not good for us, period. But, there are natural sugars like in fruits and different things like that that have really great health benefits. So, carbs and sugar itself isn't bad. It's the kind of sugar that we're eating. So, processed sugar, refined sugars, things like that are major no-nos. So I already don't eat those things. But for me, it was a matter of, I kind of had this mentality like, okay, if tumors feed off of glucose, then I'm not gonna have any glucose because I don't want this to grow or spread. And, if you're a doctor, I have some friends who are doctors, and, you're maybe watching right now going, Pratt, why would you do that? But for me in the moment, this was my kind of taking control. I was doing what I thought was best, and I don't know that it wasn't best or was best, but this is kind of where I am. So I started that, and so it's like, what in the world do you eat on a vegan keto diet? So like on a regular keto diet, of course, like a keto diet itself is very high in healthy fats and protein, and then very low in carbohydrates. I think generally you want to do like 20% or less carbohydrates. And so that's well and good unless you're plant-based keto. And then it really changes things because you're so limited in your sources of food. So I found myself eating tons of leafy greens, cruciferous vegetables like broccoli and asparagus and cauliflower. And then of course, really healthy fats like avocados and almonds and peanuts and pecans and things like that. Lots of seeds, lots of spices and herbs, and all that was good. And I really came up with some really great stuff, and actually here in the coming weeks I hope to put out some of those recipes because they're really tasty, and overall they're really good for your health. But of course after 47 days it starts to kind of weigh on your psyche and your palate, and I'm kind of like, I don't think I can take any more kale today, or I just don't think broccoli is going to make it. I can't do it today. But so I had some ups and downs in this, but as soon as I would hit a low, it was like I would just remind myself what I'm doing and jump back in, find a new way to prepare it, and I was good. So that kind of brings me to where I am in the journey now. And it's very weird because I'm basically have asymptomatic cancer, okay? In that right now, and hopefully as long as I have to endure this, I don't have any symptoms. I mean, other than a slight soreness in my neck from time to time, and it's not ongoing, it may be for an hour or two a day. I don't feel anything. I don't feel anything in my ribs where there's lacerations, or lesions, I'm sorry. And I kind of forget a lot of times that I'm battling something, and I'm just kind of, this motor that's going, and I'm eating healthy and I'm doing my job, I'm getting things done, and you don't think about on a daily basis, and then sometimes you're reminded, like, this is why I'm doing this. And so it's kind of strange because I'm not seeing like all these great results. Like I started eating this way, and so now the pain's gone or whatever. Like I don't have those results because I don't have the symptoms in the first place. But that being said, the reality is there. And so as I've been going through testing over the past couple of months, 48 days, as I've been going through the testing and just kind of learning from the doctors of where I am in the stage of this journey, I realize that diet plays a big role. And between now and the time that I start getting treatment, I want to do everything that I can that's in my power to make sure that I'm keeping my body as strong and healthy as I can. So I felt like doing the vegan keto diet was the best idea. And so just to give you an update of where I am, I've had consultations with surgeons at MD Anderson, with radiologists at MD Anderson, and then I had my last consultation this past week with a chemo specialist at MD Anderson. And so in the meantime, while I'm kind of waiting through all those appointments, I've also been doing a lot of research on holistic medicine and other cancer therapies, things like immunology and detoxification and nutrition-based and supplemental-based, and there's a lot of information out there, and I do not feel like an expert. I feel like there's a lot of gray, and I feel like when I talk to doctors, there's a lot of gray, and I've had doctors tell me, to my face here in the past few weeks, like, there's just so much we don't know. And I get that. I'm okay with that. That doesn't bother me, because it's our bodies. I mean, they're like skillfully crafted, complex machines, and so I get it that we don't understand everything, and I can accept that completely. But what I do understand though is that when you're battling cancer, it's because your immune system is not functioning at its finest. Okay. My immune system is not recognizing that I have cancer cells, and it's allowing them to grow. And every doctor that I've talked to out of those 3 lead doctors, they've all agreed with me that I have a correct understanding of that. And so my question all along this journey has been, then what are we going to do to fix my immune system? Because if my immune system malfunctions somewhere along the way, for whatever reason, like, how do we get it working again? Because to me, it just seems logical that is how we prevent its spread. That is how we stop the tumors, and that is how we ensure that it doesn't come back. And I know I'm probably making that sound super simplistic, because if it was that easy, then wouldn't everybody be cured? So I get it that it's complex, but on my personal journey, I'm trying to figure out, I want to know the answers. I want to know, why is my immune system not functioning properly, and how do I fix that? And so as I talk to the doctors at MD Anderson, and lots of respect for them, they're being very kind and respectful and like patient with me, because I'm probably not their favorite patient at this point. But I've asked the tough questions, and right now I don't have any answers from them. There is no plan to treat my immune system. There's no plan to do anything except try to stop the symptom, which is the tumor growth. And I'm not disagreeing that I want to see that stop. Like, let's do that. Let's not have tumor. Let's get rid of tumor. I get it. But at the same time, I don't want to see that come back because my immune system has an issue. And so I've shared with the doctors that, I eat a plant-based diet, and they're all like, wow, that's great, way to go. I mean, they literally look they look at me like a unicorn. I get it. I'm in Texas, home of barbecue and everything else, and I understand it. And so I think they don't meet real life vegans very often. But that being said, I'm there and I'm doing it, and they kind of scratch their head and are baffled, because it's like, none of it makes sense. Because if I'm eating this way, like, I don't have the typical problems that might encourage cancer growth. And so, there's some definite puzzles there to be solved. But that being said, I've asked them, how do we fix this? And there's not a plan. And so I finally got to the last person in the chain of command, which was the chemo doctor. And he spent a lot of time with me. He was very nice and explained a lot of things to me. But the plan moving forward is to treat me with what is basically called a targeted therapy. So it's not chemo, but it is pharmaceutically based. And basically, if I understand correctly, basal cell cancer, basal cells have a certain pathway that they live on. Okay, this is just Chris's terms here, so if you're a doctor, excuse me for not being really medical. But they have like a pathway that they live on, like a receptor. And so this pharmaceutical drug would go in and sort of start to break up and chip away at that receptor. And the hope is that that would stop the tumor growth, and then in some cases, make it shrink. Now, the doctor told me that this pharmaceutical drug that I would take, it would not destroy the tumor. He said, but it would slow down the progress and thus extend my life. And he assured me that at some point in the journey, the cancer cells would figure out a way around the drug. And when they did, it would be time to go to a more aggressive therapy. So you're probably thinking, like I was, that's just not okay. Like, there has to be a better way here. And to complicate matters even more, I would basically have to take that drug for about 13 months to be able to fully see if it was successful. And successful meaning it didn't grow any bigger. If it did get smaller, hey, that's a plus. But as long as it doesn't grow bigger, that's considered success. So for me, that is not success. And, I feel like there has to be some more answers and some better ways. So through all of the waiting and the appointments and the time that I spent talking to the doctors, I was doing some other research as well. And I found several different places outside of the United States that do therapies that are not necessarily the same, okay? I found some places that do things that are not based on pharmaceuticals. They're based on basically holistic or natural ways of doing things. And so kind of where I am today, and the update that I wanted to give you is that I have decided that I'm not going to go the conventional treatment plan. I feel like that would be a last resort for me. I've decided that I'm going to look and find an alternative treatment plan, and I'm trusting God to show me and give me wisdom as to which one of those plans is the right thing for me. I definitely think that whenever it comes to our health, every person is very different. And depending on where you are mentally, spiritually, physically, emotionally, I think all these things factor in. So for me, this is what's working. This is the direction that I feel peace about going. And so I have had several consultations with a few different treatment centers outside of the United States. And I have one more follow-up this coming week. And then I'll be making a decision of what treatment route I'm going to take. All along, I just feel a lot of peace about this whole situation. I mean, sometimes I wonder if, let me rephrase that. Sometimes I'm cautious because I don't want to sound dramatic, and I don't want to, hype things up or try to find sympathy. That's just not me. And, I've hesitated to say this because it sounds so traumatic, but I did some research and I discovered, because the doctor told me, like, you're in stage 4 cancer. And to me, that just sounds like, what we all think of as a death sentence. It's like, oh my gosh, he's in stage 4, like he can't even walk, he's feeble, and like he's not eating and he lost 300 pounds or whatever. And, as I realized that just really means stage 4 cancer is the highest staging level, because it means that the cancer tumors have metastasized and moved to different locations throughout the body. And that's what's happened to me. But that doesn't mean that I'm not functioning, and it doesn't mean that it can't be fixed. It just means that's where it is today. And I think that for a lot of folks, you're in the middle of a situation that looks really bad, but I think you have to stop and realize that's just where you are today. That doesn't mean that's where you're always going to be. And whether you're fighting a physical battle or some other battle, it's just where you are today. And that's where I am today. And that's not even discouraging to me. It's a label. I mean, we label things all the time, and that's where it is. And let's just be real and be honest about it. So I'm currently looking for answers, and I'm looking for some help from doctors who are focused on fixing the root of my problem, which is my immune system. And so that's the direction I'm going. So I wanted to give you this update. We're in the holiday season. I hope you had a great Thanksgiving, and I hope that you're gearing up and ready for all of the Christmas festivities and whatever other things you do during this time. I feel like December is like literally the busiest month of the year, but I would encourage you to just take a step back and enjoy it and embrace it. And I think that this December is going to be hard for a lot of people because a lot of people have lost a lot in the past year or two. And I hope these words of hope and encouragement really penetrate your heart, that whatever you're going through, it's where you are right now, but it's not where you're always going to be. And so I want to encourage you to pick yourself up and keep moving forward. Find solutions. When you sit around and just think and dwell on the problems, it really takes a toll on you mentally and emotionally. And so recognize the problem and identify it so that you can find solutions. And that's where I am. I'm finding solutions, and I don't know how long that journey is going to take, but I'm in it for the long haul because it's what matters most. It's the life that has been given to me, and I want to be a good steward of it, and I want to do everything that I can to encourage people along the way. So I want to leave you with this thought that has hit really hard with me. If you're familiar at all with the Gospels in the Bible, and if you're familiar with the story of Jesus' ministry, probably one of the stories that sticks out the most is his first miracle, the miracle of turning water into wine. People will talk about that very fact ad nauseum. I mean, there's so many things to learn about this experience, but I just want to pull out this thing that I feel like God was really showing me. Jesus had done no miracles. He had not started his ministry. He wasn't really preaching the gospel except to just a few small people, like just a few tight-knit group of people. And so he was basically a no-name, like people didn't know him and they didn't recognize him. But his mother, she knew that there was something that God had planned for him, and she didn't know the full extent. I get the impression that she didn't understand fully where Jesus was headed and what he was going to do in his life, but she knew that she could trust him, and she knew that he was anointed by God to do whatever he was supposed to do. And so I love this story because they're at the wedding feast, and Jesus and his disciples and his mom is there, and their traditions in biblical times were very different than especially what we do here in America, in that weddings lasted days, and maybe you're from a culture where that happens. That's not generally the custom in America. But they had this wine, and the wine ran out. And that's really humiliating, and it's really an embarrassment for the host, which would have been the parents of the wedding. And so Mary, Jesus' mother, went up to him and basically she was like, Jesus, you have to do something. They've ran out of wine. And what Jesus says is so incredible because he almost in a way reprimands his mom. And he says, woman, my time has not yet come. In other words, it's not time for me to do a miracle. It's not time for me to reveal who I am. This isn't my time. And I don't think that in any way Jesus was being disrespectful. He was being truthful. And sometimes when we get truth, it's not what we want to hear. Example, you have tumors. But Mary, she looked that truth in the face with faith. And her response was this. She looked at Jesus, and then she looked at the attendants, the servants of the wedding, and she said, do whatever he tells you. And she walked away. That is such a powerful moment in history, because I believe that in that moment, Mary demonstrated so much faith in Jesus as to say, I know the truth that you just told me, but I know who you are and that you are good and that you will do this. You will make this right. And she walked away. And I feel like that's where I am, that I'm looking at Jesus and I'm saying, I know this truth. I'm dealing with this battle, but I know who you are. And you know what's interesting is that is the very faith, that faith that Mary demonstrated, that was the faith that launched Jesus's ministry and proved who he was. And I believe that God gives us faith to trust him, even when the truth that is spoken to us is not good and it's not what we want to hear. But we can trust him to change it, to make it so that he gets the glory. So I hope that that helps you. I just felt really moved by that. I've been encouraged by that over the past couple of weeks, and I wanted to share it. So that's where I am today. I do want to just tell you that I'm planning here in the next couple of days to make a final decision on what treatment options that I'm going to be pursuing, and I'll give you an update on that. But thanks for hanging in there with me today. I just want to end by saying I have had so much support, and not that I didn't have people who cared about me or supported me before this crisis, okay? But the number of people who have gone out of their way to do things that are special for me, I am so grateful. So, I know many of you follow me on Facebook, and I know that, I've kind of shared some of the things that people have done and kind of extended that gratitude. But I just wanted to say it again, to all my coworkers, to all of my family, my friends, my past coworkers from other school districts that I've worked in. So many people have reached out. I cannot thank you enough. I'm just hearing from people literally on a daily basis, checking in on me, and it means so much, and it really just encourages me. So I hope that this encourages you, and I'll continue to keep in touch with you. And I'm working on some more recipe videos. I think people want to see that. If you do, drop a comment below if you want to see some recipe videos. I would love to do that. Honestly, I just have little kids, and it's just really hard because they're always active. And so, but I'm gonna get it done. I wanna be able to contribute to your life as well, not just an encouragement, but giving you some practical things that hopefully you'll enjoy eating. So, anyways, thanks for hanging in there with me today. I love you guys. Thank you for all your support. Share this channel with somebody if you think that it will encourage them, or maybe if you want to learn how to make hummus or something, share it along. But thanks again for watching. Make sure you like and subscribe, and I'll be back with you soon. As always, eat plants and enjoy the journey.